Well, in business tonight, the private sector, not government, must lead the charge to Barbados' return to consistent and sustainable economic growth. That's the view of Caribbean economist Marla Dukuran. Addressing the Rotary Club of Barbados West last evening, she said if there was one point those attending should take away from her presentation, it was that government spending does not create growth.
And the reason for that is when the government spends, there's something called fiscal leakage. A lot of what the government spends is on goods and services and wages and salaries, transfers and subsidies. All of that is really import-based. So when the government spends, they're really not growing this economy. They're growing the economy of China and the US and whoever you import from, not this economy.
Ms. Dukuran says the main goal of government's restructuring plan is to fix the issue of spending more than it earns. Solving that, she says, will even positively impact on the country's foreign reserves.
As I mentioned to you before, when the government spends on wages and salaries, goods and services, and transfers and subsidies, those are the three largest line items, the government is really spending on imports. Because when the government pays its workers, we go to the supermarket and we buy stuff and we consume, right? When they buy goods and services, that's consumption, which is largely imported as well. So in order to fix the reserves, you have to fix the fiscal side. So the whole premise of this program is really a massive fiscal adjustment.
Commerce Minister Dwight Sutherland says government is prepared to explore the possibility of using derelict buildings in cases where it is practical for the benefit of small businesses. He made the comment during a recent interview.
But indeed, if government has buildings that they can lease to the businesses, because when you lease it is at a smaller fee, I think that is where we have to go. And indeed, derelict buildings, it is something that the Prime Minister, she has spoken about, and she continues to speak about, that we have to fix a lot of these derelict buildings because the rent for government is very, very high. And we recognize that, and indeed we intend to fix that. But the first phase is to get our program, our homegrown program in place. $49 million will be given to the government within a few days. We have signed off the IMF agreement, and with that comes $500 million that will be freed up in this country.
It's time now to take a look at how stocks traded on selected exchanges across the region.
We get going with Jamaica, where Wasinko Group Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with 10,860,918 units at $9.75 each, and they were followed by Grace Kennedy Limited and Supreme Ventures Limited. In Trinidad and Tobago, Guardian Holdings Limited was the volume leader with 222,021 shares changing hands for a value of $3,716,280.56, and they were followed by the West Indian Tobacco Company Limited and Ansa McCall Limited. And in Barbados, JMMB Group Limited was the volume leader, trading 23,556 shares at 41 cents each, and they were followed by Epley Caribbean Property Fund SCC Development Fund and Epley Caribbean Property Fund SCC Value Fund.
Water Wednesdays is in Bowling Alley, St. Joseph, where we are at one of the many community tanks set up in various districts right across the island. They were activated during the hurricane season. This one, however, had to be deactivated because of some nearby garbage, causing some health concerns. However, today we found a solution to this problem.
The temporary solution is that we are going to encourage them to resit the cans close to an abandoned church there. We made contact with the caretaker and permission was given. And like I said, it's temporary because we don't own the land. It's not a Crown land, but I think that that would ease because we don't want a case where the water tank is contaminated at all.
Well, we have 34 tanks in between St. Joseph and St. John and part of St. Andrew. And those tanks will remain out there. We reactivated them for hurricane season. We are going to refill them as needed, but we have to keep more or less of a constant flow, like every week, at least once a week, because you don't want the water to stagnate. We encourage residents, as soon as you see it being filled, even if the water is not off, you still use the water so that we can come and replenish. We bought the water tanker out here today. However, we're not going to refill it until the garbage has been removed, and as promised by the SSA, that will be done shortly. And as soon as that is done, we will make sure the area is cleared. We will wash down the tank, replenish the water, test the quality of the water, hence the reason why we will not reactivate it at this point. As soon as it's done from the sanitation, we will bring out our water quality technologists, have it tested first, and then move forward from there.
And for you residents with community tanks like this in your area, there is another message we want to send to you.
Well, you can help us out. Even though people were saying that you should charge, we cannot charge you for this water. This water is here when water is off. However, in order to keep the tank fresh, we have to then replenish it at least once a week to keep a constant flow. So we would like the residents, on or off, come to the tank, take some water, bring down the levels so that we can replenish it at least once a week. But in a case like this, we will not reactivate it until we test it and the garbage is removed. After hurricane season, we will review the tank program in terms of the community tanks, and then we will inform the residents as to what we will do. We've removed several tanks in the north, or in St. Lucie and Orange Hill, because we could not get to them in time to have them sanitized and refilled for the storm. So we've stored them, and we are looking at the areas and see when we need to reactivate again, and then we will bring those out as needed. So that is what we are doing right now, but I just want to repeat again that the SSA is working with the BWA and on this, and as you can see that the bill, and as I said earlier, the sewage and garbage contribution is reflected on the bill, but it does not mean that the garbage sits next to the water supply, and that also goes for illegal dumping, impacting our zone 1s. You can impact the quality of our water, so we have to work together with sanitation. We support their efforts, they support ours, we're endorsing theirs, they're endorsing ours, and that is how it's going to be moving forward.
So for residents with a community tank in your area, we need your assistance. We want you to use the water in these tanks on a weekly basis, as we want to refill them to keep the water as clean as possible. We thank you for your support as always, and thank you for watching Water Wednesdays. To view this or a previous episode again, please visit our website, www.barbadoswaterauthority.com. You can go to our Facebook or Instagram pages for additional information, or just type Water Wednesdays in YouTube. You'll find us there.